You're listening to the Believe in Giants podcast with two-time Super Bowl winner Carl Banks and the voice of the Giants, Bob Papa.
Another edition of Believe in Giants presented by FanDuel. Bob Papa, two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks, as we look back at the Giants' disheartening loss to the Washington Commanders 29-21 yesterday. And Carl, you and I talked about it kind of near the end of the broadcast yesterday. It's just more of the same, right? I mean, it's anytime there's good things that happen, and there were so many good things that you see that happen during the game, but it's the fatal flaws that keep killing this team, and that's how you get to 2-12 on the season.
Yeah, Bob, it's disappointing, but it's kind of where it's what they are. You are what you are. People say you are what your record are. They're so inept at doing the little things. And the bad part about it, between Charlie Bullen and Mike Kafka, I said it last week, they're working with fix-a-flat. The habits are so bad on this team that you just hope they get it right in crucial moments. And what this team has proven, that when it's must-have it time, making a play is optional. And I say that because, okay, you look at the stat sheet and it's lying to you, because they held Washington to 3.9 yards rushing. And if you looked at that game, and I said this to you, you'd be like, are you freaking nuts? 3.9 yards rushing average? And because every time Washington needed to run the football, they ran football.
Right.
But the Giants did make some good stops in the run game. But when you got to have it, it's optional on this Giants side of the ball. And the other team, when they have to have it, they get it.
Right.
3rd and 20. You just played two really good downs. 3rd and 20. Two wide receivers set to one side. They run a simple switch route, and the guy in the slot runs a little nod route and goes straight to the post. And your safety, which you're playing split safeties, you can never allow the guy inside of you. You're inside of him / over the top. Like, how does this happen? Right? You're 3rd and 20. You guys have just played your butt off for your first and second down to get them right where you want them, and they just smoke you. And it's like, okay, was it the call? Was it the player? Was it a lack of communication, a lack of situational awareness? What is it? It's all the above. It's a defense that will play hard. They don't necessarily play smart all the time, but the standard is not there, where gotta have it plays are not optional. Execution is not optional. When you play two good downs, you gotta finish. And that's where, when you look at these stats, and Washington only had, was it 2 completions on 3rd down? All the stats that make you feel good.
Three
right?
for 11.
3 for 11. 3.9 yards rushing. You go pat yourself on the back, and it's another loss. So you do all of these good things statistically, and you walk off the field feeling no better than you did the week before, and the week before, and the week before, and the week before, and the week before. And it's so far down the road now. I watch Mike Kafka after the games, like, I just want these guys to know what it feels like to win. And they're getting there. It's the little things. It's the attention to detail. It's the mental stamina. All the things I've been harping on since the New Orleans game. And it just keeps rearing its head. Good players that are not executing in crucial times, role players that are not executing in crucial times. And this is where we are.
Yeah, I guess the way you kind of almost can phrase it here, Carl, right, is it's baked in at this point.
Yeah.
Right? It's you made a point during the broadcast as we were calling the game. You know, one of the points that you made was late in the game when the Giants had to get a stop, and you're like, you got to watch out for the play action pass here. You got to, they're trying to run out the clock. Watch out for the game play action pass. And what do? Okay, Zach Ertz is hurt. Sinnott runs the Zach Ertz play, and he's wide open for what should have been pretty much the game sealer. Now, to the Giants' credit, defensively, they forced a fumble, and they stayed in the game. But it's like the gotta-have-it moment, and you just can't get beat on something that you're calling from the radio booth before the play happens. Like, here's what they're going to do right now. This is coming.
Yeah. Yeah, Bob, but, you know, it's situational awareness. Now, I spent probably a tenth of my time studying Washington, and I understood how they like to approach the game. These guys spent a week and a half, 2 weeks on it. Now, I'm not here to say coaches aren't prepared. I'm not here to say players aren't prepared. I'm here to say that they ain't fucking executing. Right? I don't know if anybody said, watch out for the play action pass. This is what Cliff Kingsbury likes to do. I know if I could see it in my preparation for the game, they should be able to see it. But then who drops the ball on the field, right? I'm not in the locker room. I'm not on the sideline, and I'm not giving checks on, alerts on the field. If I could have called down there and said, watch out for this from the booth. And so I can't tell you that they don't go over this stuff. I can't tell you that the players aren't prepared for it. I can just tell you that the execution in situational football is optional. And that's because it's never been, that level of excellence has not been demanded to a point to where we can actually see them execute. And they did good things yesterday, but the good things basically are things you do every week. But the gotta have it moments, the things that close you out and give you that feeling of victory, that it continues to elude this team. It continues to elude them. And listen, I could go player for player, play for play, but it's useless. It's useless. They look at themselves on film. The coaches evaluate themselves, and they see it. It's just, again, too much talent. I've seen teams with less talent do so much better because of their attention to detail, their mental stamina in crucial moments. And this is just, it's beyond players. It's all of them. It's baked in, like you said. And I hope for them that they could, just buckle down and just finish. A lot of good things yesterday. Like I said, the stats lying to you right now because they did hold Washington to 3.8 yards rushing. They did play excellent on third down until they needed to.
Right. And that's been the refrain all year.
Yeah. you want to look at improvement. There's a number. They played the run well until they needed to. They played third down well until they needed to. And then it's perplexing. I just don't know much more to say. It's baked in. I would love nothing more than to see these kids smile when they come off the field, and feel, what victory is like. It's eluded them, but it's on them. They got 3 more games. They got to figure out how to finish. Darius Slayton, who I love a lot, and we know that Darius does not want to drop passes. He doesn't try to drop passes. But when you got to have it, you got to have it. And those are got to have it plays. And he didn't, on the 3rd and 3, didn't come up with it. Pass in the end zone, got to have it. When you got to have it, got to make it, got to will yourself to do it. Nobody feels worse about that than him. But at the end of the day, he's going to look at the film. His teammates are going to look at the film and say, look, we got to have this. Him along with a few others.
Forget about the above and the X's and O's play, like the ball over his head for the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But like when we talk about the Giants' margins, you score the opening drive of the 3rd quarter to make it 22-14. And then you give up 1 first down, and then you stop them on 4th and 3, you force a punt.
Mm-hmm.
So you start in your own 19-yard line, and you have momentum in the game, and you're down by 1 score. You get 5 yards on first down, but then Tracy gets called for the false start. 2nd and 10, Dart runs for 6. So you got a manageable 3rd and 4. And they got the perfect play called. And they got Slayton on the slant. And he drops it.
Yeah.
And this team is not good enough across the board, offense, defense, special teams, to drop that pass, because that is a first down that's going to be a gain of 10 yards. The ball's going to be out to the 35. And you've got Washington, who, coming into the game is a 3-win team. You have them on their heels. And now you've got momentum in the sense that you've already scored once on them. You've just gotten the ball back. And now we just converted a 3rd down. We picked up 10 yards. Like, let's kind of keep it going. And it's just, these things are so hard for them to overcome. Forget about the drop touchdown pass that had to be caught. But it's like these little things that all wind up building up missed opportunities. Granted, listen, nobody's going to be perfect. But, these are the bunnies, right? They say in basketball, like these are the layups. These are, you're not going above the X's and O's. This is just a routine play that's been schemed up, executed, blocked, whatever you want to say, perfectly, and you're wide open. And this has been happening all season, not just with him, but with everybody. And
Theo
that's
Johnson's
one of the
had
ways.
his share.
Yeah. Wan'Dale Robinson's had his share.
Yeah, I mean that is, the part where we point these things on the offense, and that in essence holds them back. But they're so resilient. They came back the next series, hit a big play, got down to the 1-yard line and failed to get it in, and that's a whole nother conversation. But you don't see the resilience as a collective, right? One side of the ball doesn't pick up the other side of the ball. They don't complement each other. And the special teams coverage is just god awful right now.
I don't know what happened, because they were so good.
They were tops in the league, and now all of a sudden, and I don't know if it's because some of your main players, guys like Dane Belton, has to play regular downs now, but it's just it's kind of par for the course. It's just all baked in. If some phase of the team of the game that you got to have it right now, you can't count on it. Abdul Carter did a phenomenal job, but you
let's
also
let's talk about Abdul Carter for a
Yeah.
second here, because he's taken a lot of shade,
Mhm.
and you and I have cracked on the coach's tape, and we have seen over the course of the season, not finishing plays, maybe thinking somebody else is going to finish the play and not necessarily busting his tail to stay in a play that maybe he can make it somewhere along the line. Yesterday, I mean, he looked like a guy that probably was tired of hearing what he's been hearing, and played a really well-rounded football game.
He played better than well-rounded. He played dominant at times. He was disruptive.
Oh yeah.
What it tells me about Abdul Carter is that football is important to him. That he knew that there were some things that he's responsible for. And I'm sure his father had a conversation with him too. But also, he did his part, but the coaches did their part too. And this is a chicken and the egg type thing. I don't know what came first. Maybe they wanted to sit with him all year to watch film. Come in early, we'll sit with you, right? And maybe he wasn't. I don't know. But when I hear Coach Kafka say, hey, he's been in early, our coaches are in early with him watching film and showing him, that's great. So he's showing a willingness, and so are they. And then the other part about what we saw from Abdul Carter is they had a plan for him. It wasn't just roll the ball out there, strap on your helmet and just go do what you do. They had a plan. They moved him around. They found advantageous matchups for him. And then he did the rest. So you say, what took him so long? Maybe it was him. Maybe it was them collectively. I got to believe that it was them, because if he's doing his part, meaning showing a willingness to do more, to learn more, to be better, then they're going to say, we'll give you more, right? I'm just happy to see it. As my old coach would say, that's one in a row. Let's see you stack them, right? Now I know he knows how it feels to be back to his old self, to the guy that was playing the game on his own terms. But now he understands also that this league, you got to earn your right to play on your own terms, because they just don't concede your inside move because you're so quick. But you know what? It worked yesterday. It worked when they moved him over the center and the guard, because they had a plan for him. I hope that continues, and to their credit, the coaches, and to his credit, because football is important to him, and he showed it, right? Yes, everybody just took him out to the woodshed, and people are still talking, but you know what? I'm proud of the job he did, and I want him to keep going and stacking them. That's one in a row, but he just showed you exactly what he can do. They gave him 3 tackles for loss. I had him for 4. 2 forced fumbles, 1 recovered, a sack. I mean, the guy was just an incredible player yesterday. One of their best players on the field, period.
The thing I don't understand is, Carl, they had him for 3 tackles for a loss at halftime on the stat sheet, and he finished the game with 3 tackles for loss. I don't really understand how that's humanly possible, because he had tackles for losses in this. It's just, who cares really? Like, what does it really matter? I think this, Carl. I think whether Mike Kafka gets retained or, we have no idea about any of this. And I'm not advocating one way or another, and they're just not winning games, and this is a zero-sum business of winning games. But I will say this. His contribution, and hopefully it's a lasting contribution to all of this, is that he disciplined Abdul Carter, not once, but twice. So and if that has a residual effect moving forward for the rest of this guy's Giants career, that he was kind of publicly flogged by his head coach, first a series, then an entire quarter, and an entire quarter on a nationally televised game. Mike Kafka will have contributed, not just in the development of Jackson Dart, but maybe in the development of Abdul Carter. And, it's a shame that it was let to happen. And we've all heard the rumors about how this is. Listen, it didn't happen when Kafka became the head coach all of a sudden. So I'm going to give Kafka some credit here in the fact that he called it out and he said, this is not going to be tolerated.
But that's the standards. Those are standards that you have to have. And, this game is shifting because you're people who have played this game, who understand this game, know that the principles for winning, the requirements are all the same. And, there was this school of thought that, you got to kind of meet players where they are. Yes, but they got to meet you where the standard is, right? Y'all get, and again, I'm not this old man screaming about it, but you get a chance to play, you get a chance to practice with the music you like, to try to, they're trying to meet you where you are. But that's to get you to play where the standards don't change. The principles of this game don't change, right? But we've seen it. And I don't know Kyler Murray. I've never sat in a meeting with him. I've only gone by what I read and what's been publicly reported. His love for video games was at one point greater than what he was doing on the football field. They just paid him a max contract. You see what I'm saying? So the principles of winning, the principles of success in this league, there are no shortcuts. So you can coddle and it bites you in the ass every time. Or you can condition these things and say, hey, this is a game of football. This is what's required to play it. I'm going to help you get in a mindset state that will help you be your best. I can meet you where you are in some areas, but when you walk through the doors, this is how we're doing it.
Right.
And that's what Mike Kafka did. And so you can't have a laissez-faire and assume that a kid who's never had those level of guardrails are just going to adapt. There is a culture shock. And I think aside from the disciplinary stuff with Abdul Carter, I'm sure he'll tell you a lot of my shit wasn't working. I was trying a lot of things and I wasn't getting there like I normally do. Well, now you see with a little more film study and you have coaches that are willing to work with you to get you in these positions to give you a plan. Now it looked just as easy and you're getting there. But to your point about Mike Kafka, he knows the standards, he knows the principles that it takes to win and to have success in this league or to give yourself a chance to win, right? And he wants to hold players accountable. I can't disagree with that one bit.
I wasn't crazy about the way the first half of the game went. I thought that the Giants, whereas Washington picked on the Giants' weakness, running the ball, I thought the Giants might have been a little pass happy and not run it as much. The first and goal at the one, I mean, to me, just line it up and pound it on first down. If you want to get to the trickery, get to that on second and goal at the one or whatever. And look, Jackson Dart, did not play exceptionally well. Now, if Slayton catches the third down, if Slayton catches the touchdown, the numbers look different.
They look better.
But in those gotta have it moments in the game, Carl, the interception by Sainristil on the throw to Hyatt. I mean, Jackson talked about it after the game as far as the ball placement was there. I know everybody wants to always just blame Hyatt. It's an easy mark, but we'll hear what, after the game. It sort of sounded the way Jackson Dart was talking about. He was kind of taking ownership of that a little bit. And then at the end of the game, just not being on the same page with Wan'Dale Robinson and these shots. Like, they had a couple of schemed up plays. It was there. And just something was off in this game.
Yeah. And yet they still fought. They keep fighting. And if this is the craziest word ever, if your special teams don't blow it, if your defense doesn't blow it, if your offense doesn't blow it, you still have a chance to win. Because the stats, you look at them and it's like, how come they're not winning? Because they can't do it when they got to have it. And you just can't say it's a good team that needs to get the little things ironed out. We're too far down the road now. It's a team with talent that can't do the little things. It's a team with talent with no mental stamina. That's what we're looking at now. We're not looking at a good team. We're looking at a team with talent that doesn't know how to win. They can't do the things necessary.
Right, and you're not making kicks. Now, granted, the conditions were tough, especially kicking in that direction. And Koo's kicks were left, and they were short, and there's the wind pattern and everything else. But, when your margin is so slim, and a two-win team has slim margins, you don't get to 2 wins by not having slim margins. You got to make these kicks, or you got to go for it, or you got to punt it and play the field game. But you have to do something. You can't have empty trips like that.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, Bob. I wish so much for these kids to know what it feels like to win again, but they have to do the little things. They're all professionals. They get a check. So there's no sympathy, and I'm not. These guys are not sympathetic figures. They're pros. And just like the guys they play across from them across the ball on the other sideline of scrimmage. When they got to have it, they get it. When the Giants got to have it, they don't. And that's why they're where they are.
Hey, what did you think about my theory? You and I talked about it a little bit. What do you think about this theory? Whoever the next coach of the Giants is, ever since they took down the Pegasus and the racetrack, the wind pattern in the stadium certainly has changed.
Yeah.
So Giants Stadium was always an advantage because you guys, once the weather got cold and the little grass field in the parking lot had died out, you guys didn't have a bubble. You didn't have an indoor facility. So you practiced in the stadium. And Phil Simms learned how to figure out where the good spots were and the bad spots were when it got cold and windy. And your receivers learned how to catch these knuckleballs, whatever the case is. And then even though they had a bubble before the facility was built, Eli Manning and the Giants, they practiced outside. They practiced in the bubble, but they practiced in the stadium. If I was whoever the new head coach of the Giants is going to be, when we got to December, I would schedule, if we had a home game that Sunday, I would schedule a practice 1 day a week, full practice in MetLife Stadium if it was available. And there's no concerts late in the season anyway. It's
Yeah,
not
I
like when you get
agree.
to December.
That is your home field advantage for kickers, for quarterbacks, for receivers, even for defensive backs, because the wind patterns are different. You could see it, and our guy Harrison Eisen, who Shaq's punts for the punters, he always gives us a report as we're heading back up to the booth, and he'll say the wind's going to be doing this, the ball's going. These players, these coaches need to use this to their advantage and not let Sunday be the first time that they throw the football in that stadium that week. If there's inclement weather, or even if it's not inclement weather, the wind conditions are just different. And you can say, well, the wind blows across the field diagonally from your bench to theirs towards the end zone. But what does that wind do on any given day? You got to practice that. You got to be aware of those conditions. So, yeah, I agree with you.
Right, because even though the practice facility is just across the parking lot,
there's
the
no
grass
bleachers,
field
there's no stands, there's no air-conditioned vents.
There's
all the
nothing.
things. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a thought. Like,
I think you're right on with that.
Make sure, like, when you set foot on that field on Sunday in December, when it's windy and cold, you feel like you have an advantage because, like Phil Simms always said, he goes, we knew there were certain things we could not run and certain things we could run based on which direction we were going, to the east end and that left corner where the ball would just die, or the other side where the ball would sail. Like, so we knew what to call based on where we were on the field, and we'd see other teams come in and they're trying to run their offense and the ball is suddenly dancing. You saw it as a defensive player.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, you got anything else?
That's it.
All right, we'll preview the Vikings later in the week. Thank FanDuel. How do we like to end this?
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Believe in Giants.